this video, I'm going to introduce you to Excel and just talk about some of the features that we'll be using in this class. So what I've done is open up Excel, and now I've provided a workbook. We call the entire thing a workbook with some additional sheets. And this will be how I provide data for you in this class. So the file will more than likely already exist. So you are to click on it and open it in Excel. And the first thing I want you to notice is down here on the bottom that we can have multiple sheets within a workbook, and that you can go from one to the other simply by clicking on them. So if you're asked to do multiple things one week, the easiest way to do it is to do it on multiple sheets and then submit one workbook. However, if that's too complicated, you can certainly submit more than one workbook. If you want to add a sheet, that's what this plus button here does. Okay, so to add one, you can move these around just by simply clicking on them and dragging. Okay, now we're on the worksheet ADG 2017, and I already have data entered here. I have farm, and ADG stands for average daily gain. We're looking at the average daily gain of commercial turkeys, and this would be pounds per day. So they grow about 0.3 pounds per day. But what I want you to notice is that in the workbook, each cell has a reference. So if I click here, the number 1 displays up here, and that's how I can see what's entered in that cell. But if I want to refer to this cell, it is cell A2. So it's column, row. So for example, if I click here, this is cell B9. So why is that important? Well, we can actually do mathematical formulas by entering the cells instead of having to retype the numbers. Okay, so one scenario is that I will provide you the data as shown here, but an additional scenario would be that you have to enter your own data. So what I have is just some handwritten data here. This would be from 2012, and if you need to enter the data, then you can simply do so by clicking on your sheet. I already created the name here, ADG12, but you could have hit the add a new sheet button. And then you can label your data. Sometimes that makes it easier. Farm, ADG, just by typing those in 2 different cells, and then you can enter the data. All right, so if you notice on the data that I'm about to enter, we go through 1 through 15. So there's 2 different ways I can do that. Obviously, I can just use my keypad and type in the numbers. I'm just typing the number and then hitting enter, and it's jumping to the next cell. Another way we could do it is to use a formula. So anytime you want Excel to calculate something for you, and Excel is a great calculator, you have to start with the equal sign. If I don't use the equal sign, then it will, like if I say 7 plus 3, it will just leave it as 7 plus 3. But now if I say equals 7 plus 3, it will actually do the calculation and give me 10 in that cell. So when we're entering numbers sequentially, like 1 through 15, I can say equals, and now this is another cool feature. Click on the cell above, which is the number 6, but notice that it's representing it here as A7, and then plus 1. And what it's going to do is take the value in A7, which is 6, and add 1. So it should give me 7, and it does. Now, I could continue that formula on down, but the really cool thing is if I click on this cell and go to the bottom right corner, notice what happens to my mouse. It is a white cross, and then when I get to the bottom corner, it becomes a black plus. If I drag that down, it will automatically continue my formula. And notice that it increments it each time. So by dragging that down, it incremented my formula. So it said, oh, okay, I know what she's doing. In the next cell, she wants A8 plus 1. In the next cell, A9 plus 1. In the next cell, A10 plus 1. And notice that it fills in my data automatically. If that's too complicated, remember 2 things. First, you can just enter the data. And second, you will want to use Excel to do calculations, and if you do that, then make sure you use the equal sign. So 5 plus 67, okay? They start with the equal sign, because if I just type 5 plus 67, it doesn't do anything. But if I say equals 5 plus 67. So the equal sign is Excel's clue that, hey, you're going to have to do something with that date, with that number, okay? All right, so if I wanted to enter my average daily gain, and I know this will get boring, I'll try to enter it quickly, I would just come here and enter my data as I have it written down, okay? And one thing I want to tell you about statistics is whenever I analyze data, the number one thing that happens is that there is a mistake in the data entry, meaning that somebody's keyed a number wrong. You can see that these numbers are like 0.29, 0.30, 0.32. If all of a sudden I entered a 3.22, okay, that doesn't make any sense, okay, because of the magnitude of this data. So if I leave that number in there for my data analysis, it is going to skew my data, okay? So I'm doing it again right there. All right, so I want to make sure that I come back up here and I double check all my data points. Okay, this is 031. I had an error there. This is 0334, 0343, and whoops, again, another error, 343. Okay. And I think I only had 14 data points. I probably skipped one, but you get the idea. Okay, so again, once you enter your data, go back and proofread your data and compare it to the original. All right. All right, so those were the things that I wanted to show you to get you started in Excel. You can work your way around to different worksheets, and you can have as many as you really want. To have it do a calculation for you, you can hit equals and type in a formula. Like if I wanted to add this plus this, I sure could, okay? And then finally, I wanted you to see that you can actually do that drag down by going to the bottom right corner and pulling it down. But be careful, you want to always check that what you meant to do is what got done. So for example, if I really wanted this to skip to 9, 11, 13, then the formula would not be correct. I hope this helps you get started with Excel. I'll end this video by saying that you have your normal tabs up here like you're used to seeing, and if you wanted to save this, you would just go File to Save or Save As, okay, if you finish your work. I know you'll have more questions along the way, but please feel free to ask as we go. And again, I will provide videos similar to this for everything that I'm going to require you to do in Excel. ABC.